Hey everyone, it's Kato, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to place pathing in the most natural way possible. So if you're interested in content like this and you want to see more in the future, I'd appreciate if you like and subscribe, but let's just get right into it. So custom pathing is really one of those things that is truly personal preference. So for me, this is just how I like to do my custom pathing when I'm placing it. I always go for a more natural look. I've done a video in the past showing how I normally lay down the path, which is just the 9-tile custom pattern. I will show you guys the one I have right now in my design. So I have this grass version of the path. And this path actually originated from a creator on Twitter, Denim2_Mori, who created the first version of this, and then other creators started creating their own as well. I actually also have a video on how to create your own version of the path, just an absolute basic version of this, and then you can take the tips from that and make it whatever you want, if you want to add flowers or anything like that. So I'm going to show again how I place this kind of version of the path and just some tips on how to keep it more natural. And then I also want to talk about how to place one of these brick style patterns. I've been getting a lot of questions on how to make them look the most natural. So I'm just going to show you guys what I do when I'm placing those. I've got this big open area right here. So I'm just going to get started. Just a reminder that all of the custom codes that I use in this video can be found on my card, which is linked down in the description. That'll take you to the website that I put together that has all the custom codes, so definitely check that out. Okay, so first things first, I am opening up the Island Designer app just in case I want to use it, but for me personally, using my phone is much easier, and that is something else that is totally personal preference. The more you get the hang of using your phone, the easier it is. But if you enjoy using the Island Designer app, I say go for it. I just like this way because I can place down multiple tiles with a couple clicks rather than having to go in each time I want to change my pattern. So for this type of pattern, I really just start laying down a few of the tiles first, just to kind of get a basic outline of what I want, and then I go from there. So one important thing to keep in mind here is I never use more than 2 of the same tile in a row. I mean, very rarely I might use 3, and that would only be if the items in the area were limiting me from changing up the direction of the path. So for example, you see here I've got a curved edge, a straight edge, and then another curved edge. If I were to put, let me grab in this since I'm going to do multiple of the same design. So if I were to put 3 of these straight edges in a row, this just doesn't look as natural to me. So I try to avoid that as much as possible. So if I just wanted to change it a little bit and just curve this up instead, that's all it takes. And just having this slight curve in the path and then going up here, it just makes it look a lot more natural. And that is just what I prefer. So I'm going to lay down just a small section of path right here, and then I will come back and talk about it. Okay, so here we go. I've laid down just some of the path here, and you can see I just added a couple of flowers. So in all of the twists and turns of a path, I like to either add flowers, trees, items, whatever it is that you want to put there. I just like to add those in, and I especially like to use flowers in sections where the path is turning. I feel like maybe it doesn't look the best, and the flowers just do a really nice job of hiding any imperfections in your path. So also keep that in mind. If you can place a flower down in front of it, you can normally hide, some of the connection issues in your pathing. So you can see here, this is just a tiny section of path, but honestly, this is normally as big of a section as I will do. And then if I were going to continue the path, I would break it off just like this, and then I would start a new section. And that's another thing that I feel like helps to just give your areas some more interest. It helps to break it up and not feel so monotonous throughout your island. So I like to do that as well. Just break up the pathing so it's not just one continuous path all throughout. Again, that's just my personal preference. There's nothing wrong with continuing your path all the way through your island if that's what you want to do, but this is just how I do it and how I feel makes it look the most natural. I always like that worn down, distressed look. Okay, so here we go. Another little small section. So this is how I would have it, just this connecting here. And even though there's this little area in between, you can still see that this is where the path is continuing, and then you would just continue on wherever you wanted to go. But yeah, that is how I do the 9 pattern, the path version of the custom pathing. So now I'm going to move on to the brick path. So we'll just come right up here, and I'm going to show you guys. So I showed a little bit of this on my stream the other day, and when I'm using these kind of distressed brick patterns, I normally download all of the different options, but these two in particular, the 2 side pieces, are the main focus for these, especially if you want it to look worn. These are the most important pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place these down, and instead of using this middle piece a lot, I'm really just going to continue to use these 2 side pieces. So I'm going to lay this down, and I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about at the end. Okay, so I have laid down this small little area of brick, and I ended up not using any of that middle piece. Honestly, I feel like I could go back on my island and go to all of the sections where I'm using this path and just get rid of that middle piece. So I've got this here. You can see how it looks really distressed, and I'm mostly just using those 2 side pieces, and then in a couple places I use the bottom piece and the top piece just to add a little bit of variation throughout, but I like to leave some little open gaps. And then in these you can always add a weed or a flower, anything like that, just so it looks a little bit more distressed. So I'm going to pick this up. I'm actually going to go in here and I'm going to take out some of these side pieces, and I'm going to show you guys what it would look like if I were to fill this up completely with that middle piece, and just how it completely changes the entire look of this area. Okay, so I've gone in and I've left a little bit of the distressing, but I added the middle piece in, and I still like the way this looks. I just prefer the really distressed, worn look of the other design, but you can just see how much fuller and just a little bit less worn this is, and there's nothing wrong with this. It's just not my preference normally. So that's how I lay this brick pattern. Another thing I want to point out is I try to vary the number of tiles that I'm using in each row. So you can see in this row I'm using 2, and then I go to 4, then I go to 5, and then I stay with 5, but I shift the row 1 to the right. So I'm just varying how many tiles are in each row each time. And again, I will show you guys, if I were not to do that, what this would look like. Okay, so here we go. There's still a little bit of variation in the center where it's a little bit more distressed, but overall it's just very square. So you can see how before it was a lot more natural, and that seems to be kind of the theme here for what I prefer to do. But this one is very symmetrical and square. So it's just personal preference on what you like to do, but I wanted to show you guys those little tips and tricks on how I lay down my pathing. What do you guys think? Do you do the same thing on your islands? Are these things that you're going to start using? I would love to know down in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate if you like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!